Hey, so I'm with Kaia Kater. Welcome to the Gateway. Hi. Can you start by talking a bit about your creative process and what inspires you as an artist?
That's a good question. I would say my creative process is really rooted in a lot of writing.
Cool.
I discovered a book called Writing Better Lyrics, which is a very on-the-nose title, in writing my most recent record, and there was this recommendation from the author that you should just free write every morning. So write for 10 minutes in the non-narrative way. So I've been doing a lot of that. And do you want to keep going?
Sweet. All right, let's just dial back to where we just were.
Yeah.
So we were discussing your musical inspirations and your process of writing at the start of the day, you said?
Yeah, so I like to free write in the morning, and I do a lot of sense writing, which is just essentially a fancy word for just writing from, what you can see or taste or imagine, rather than the sort of narrative in your head. Rather than telling a story, you're just kind of describing an object. And I write a lot of poetry, I read a lot of poetry, and I'm really influenced by literature, and so I really like lyrical musicians like Kendrick Lamar or like Gillian Welch. Anything that has a strong hook and really good lyrics, I'm pretty instantly there.
Fantastic. So since your practice is grounded in writing, so you mentioned you write some poetry, and do you work in other forms of literature?
No, I wish I did. I probably should. I wrote articles for a little while for a magazine called No Depression, and it was really cool because I just got to interview musicians that I was a fan of and write about them, which was really nice. And I would love to do more writing in my life, even if it's not particularly related to music. I just find it fascinating, and I always have. So music is just kind of one way I think that it
For
can
sure,
go.
for sure. Yeah. And with music, so your main instrument is the banjo. Can you talk about why the banjo, how you got into the banjo, and what your relationship with the banjo has been, I suppose?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up going to a lot of folk festivals, exactly
Nice.
like this one.
Cool.
And my mom actually took me to this folk festival, the Edmonton Folk Festival, when I was 15. We were living in Winnipeg, and she was running the Winnipeg Folk Festival, and in August we took a road trip to come to the Edmonton Folk Festival. So it feels like it was kind of the banjo was not as foreign to me as it is to a lot of other people, and it doesn't feel as strange that I picked it up because I just grew up kind of like you. I grew up around a lot of music and a lot of festivals. So it was just an instrument that I liked the sound of, and my mom and dad were pretty supportive of me playing it and trying it out.
Awesome.
Just kept going.
Yeah, and they talk in the program about how you had some uncertainties about the banjo due to its association with the Confederacy, and then finding out about its African roots. So that's interesting to me. So can you talk about that for a minute?
Sure. So, I would like to say that I always have loved the banjo and have not cared about its roots or its perceived roots, but I think my apprehension was more surrounded around what my friends would think, maybe, or what other people would think, kind of seeing a biracial person playing this instrument, a biracial person from the north, essentially from Canada. And so I felt like I didn't really have any connection or any right to be playing it. And then when I realized that the banjo actually has a really rich history, it actually comes from West Africa. And it's a descendant of a lot of East Indian and West African instruments. Then it felt like, okay, this has a more complex history, and it's something that I can take and make my own and really embrace, rather than constantly fearing that, it's going to be misinterpreted, or I'm going to be asked, why are you playing a white instrument? Well, now I have a response, it's actually not that,
Sweet. So as you said, you first came here 15 years ago, so now you're coming 10 years later, right? So can you talk about that experience of being a kid at the festival, now as a young artist yourself, and just in general the experience of growing up into an artist in your own right from being someone who attends festivals as a kid?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I came to this one when I was 15, so I feel like I was just starting to, like, think about music and think about performance in an artistic way. But it's been really cool being here as a performer. You know, they've treated me really well, and it's cool to be able to experience what I saw so much as a kid and what I really wanted to see on stage. You know, like playing that tweener on Thursday night was really cool for me because I had sat there 10 years ago on the top of the hill, watching people that I admired play, and thought maybe I could do this. And it's really nice for you know, the dreams and the aspirations you had as a teenager or as a kid to come true, and to see that in your adult life. So that's what I'm most thankful for, ultimately.
Have you gotten to meet any of your heroes now as an artist in your own right, or play with any of your heroes or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. Let me see. Well, there are a bunch of people that I really love, but that I've taken the position of, like, I need to be cool around them. Like, I can't fawn over them and be like, you have no idea how much you influenced my musicianship. But, like, I just met Bruce Molsky backstage, and he's like a really, really great fiddle player, and his records have influenced like a whole bunch of banjo and fiddle players. And so we just sat and talked about like his hometown, and it was really cool to like get to meet people and talk on a different level. I think rather than kind of overwhelming them with how much they mean to you, just kind of let them be. That's been my policy, even though I'm like freaking out inside, you know.
Awesome.
Keep it chill.
Awesome. Yeah. Chill. Yeah, and so I know that a lot of your music has been tied into some activism and had commentary on like some of like the big like national and international problems that we're tackling right now. So can you talk a bit about that, like art and activism, the interplay between the two?
Sure, yeah. Well, I like to go by Nina Simone's doctrine, which is she just has said that it's an artist's duty to reflect the times we're living in. And so I think, you know, going by that doctrine or ideal, I think the things that have been most meaningful to me are just kind of activism for people of color and trying to get more recognition, and ultimately trying to recognize, you know, equity and equity, especially within the system, you know, to try and eliminate the wage gap and all of these things that are sort of keeping us perpetually suppressed or oppressed. And so, yeah, I have a song called Rising Down, which is all about that. That's on my latest record. And I also kind of write about it. It comes out in my writing intrinsically, I think, just because of who I am and how I walk around in the world. Yeah, so it's kind of, it's an essential part of my artistry. It's not everything, but, you know, like Buffy St. Marie, I've taken a lot of her sort of advice and her sort of activism in her art, which is to be really clear about what you're trying to say when you're saying it. So songs like, you know, a song like Universal Soldier, or it's even the songs that Kendrick Lamar raps about. It's like, okay, this is a statement that I want to make, and this is what I want people to understand, even if the rest of the album is more of a kaleidoscopic interpretation of whatever. I'm getting too esoteric, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
For sure. Fantastic. Were you able to meet Buffy St. Marie?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
No,
okay.
her I would freak out about.
For sure. Or keep the scope out. Yeah.
Hawkeyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, while you're here at the rest of the festival, what are you gonna see? What are you getting up to?
I'm looking forward to seeing Kaia Kater. I was really into his record, Into the Purple Valley. So were my grandparents, my mom. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing Molly Tuttle. She's playing here at 6. She's an amazing woman in bluegrass music. She's one of my favorite flat pickers. She's so prolific and incredible. And yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed seeing Daka Braka. They were my discovery, and yeah, I'm just gonna wander around. see what I hear.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And beyond this weekend, what's next for you?
I have a few more festivals to play throughout August and September, and I am releasing an album in October 26th. It's called Grenades, and it's all original music. Yeah, and if you like my stuff, check it out.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you so much, Kaia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the festival.
Thanks.